Legion, it's Adrian. Thank you for being here. Let's play Frostpunk. Let's finally play Frostpunk in a new series called The Great Order. This is going to be a new home scenario playthrough. And if you're not familiar with Frostpunk, this is my first time playing it on YouTube. So here's a bit of a quick rundown for you. Frostpunk is a settlement survival and resource management simulation title by 11-Bit Studios, the same studio that brought us This War of Mine, which I played forever ago in a series called Out of Ashes. With these games, 11-Bit has established itself as a developer known for presenting powerful and sobering tales of human survival against overwhelming odds. And Frostpunk is more overwhelming, even at its medium difficulty setting, than any game like it. There may be no game like it. It took me dozens of playthroughs to feel like I was even riding the curve. It's a min-maxer's dream, a title that challenges players to juggle the physical and emotional needs of anxious colonists with the cold, rational, often heartbreaking sacrifices that will ultimately ensure their survival. Playthroughs in this game won't take that many episodes, and there's a lot of great free DLC coming up this year for the game. So I have a lot of different series planned for the channel in Frostpunk, and there's a lot about the initial release that I've saved for you guys. For instance, when you look at these scenarios, I actually haven't unlocked the third scenario because I haven't even played the arcs. I haven't played anything other than the main story, which is called A New Home. Again, that's where we're going to focus on in this series. And I also haven't really paid that much attention. Oh, I haven't played on hard difficulty either, by the way. But I haven't paid that much attention to the story text, like the actual things going on when you go out and scout, when you encounter other people out in the frozen wilderness. What are the scenarios that, kind of create the story? What are the actual, text blurbs? I haven't read any of them because I wanted to experience them with you in this series and in the YouTube content that I record for Frostpunk. So I'm going to be doing all of that for the first time. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in to a new playthrough in A New Home. Now, the series is, of course, called The Great Order. There is a hint to how we're going to be playing the game in there, and I'll make it more than a hint. We're going to be doing an order playthrough, and we're going for the high road, so to speak. We're going to try not to do what's called crossing the line, and we will definitely be exploring different ways of going about this in future playthroughs as well. But let's go ahead and customize the scenario just so you can see kind of where the difficulty starts out. We are going to play on medium difficulty, and we have people's needs to juggle, first of all. So there's the need for food and the chances of getting sick. This will be at a kind of an average level. There is resource gathering and research as well in the game, and this is going to be at a average pace. We're going to keep everything just down the middle. I'm just showing you kind of what the challenges of the game are, so that if you're new to Frostpunk, you can kind of interpret what medium difficulty means. What the weather activity will be on normal level, so there's going to be a normal amount of crazy weather. And again, this is just punishingly challenging to a degree that outpaces any other survival or colony survival game I have played in recent years. It was maddeningly challenging to learn this game, even on medium difficulty. People's reactions to good and bad events will be equally balanced as well. So society's attitude, everything is just straight down the middle. In future playthroughs on Frostpunk, we might actually do some hard playthroughs. We might even do some easy playthroughs if some particular set of circumstances calls for it.
We roam the still, cold world. No horizon in sight. The rulers of old, stripped of pride and glory. It feels as yesterday we were turning the wheels of progress. Until the frost stopped it all. Suddenly, without a warning. When tides had changed, they changed for all of us, no matter wealth or class. We've lost our world to snow, and with it, our last traces of humanity. We bid farewell to plenty, and for those who remained came the time to adapt. We decided to leave our homes and head north. We months, leaving behind all the things we once believed had made us. It was hope that pushed us forward. Slowly, step by step, we knew the cost of our journey, and we paid the price 100 times. Finally, the time has come to build the last city on Earth.
So music is a really big deal on this channel, and for the record, this game has one of the best soundtracks I have heard, especially from a smaller studio, in a very, very long time. There are a few games that have some similar survival themes that have comparable, that I've played on the channel, that have comparable soundtracks in recent years, but it's hard to compare to Frostpunk's soundtrack. It truly is. So, A New Home. We fled from London and crossed the sea to reach the frozen north. On the way, our convoy was hit by a blizzard and scattered. A handful of us managed to reach the site of this generator, only to find it frozen solid and abandoned. Why is no one here? Did any of our people survive the blizzard? Are there any others out there? Whatever we do, we should expect the worst now that the world as we know it has crumbled. We have to survive. So, just as a quick clarification before I click this button, this takes place in a fictional version of the 19th century. So this great storm has arrived that has brought this eternal winter with it, and Britain built a number of generators up north. I know that sounds crazy, but if the entire world is freezing over, going north doesn't matter if you're trying to avoid cold. So they went up north just to avoid crumbling civilization, so to speak, as the game's tooltips put it. And you then have these generators that heat cities. And that's what you have to do. You have to start this generator and build a city around it and survive, despite the overwhelmingly bad conditions. So here's our generator. It's not even on yet. We have a number of citizens. Fight the cold. We need to get the generator working. It provides heat and power to other buildings. Without it, we'll freeze to death. Stockpile some coal and start the generator. I will be playing through the tutorial prompts and kind of looking through this because this is my first time playing the series on YouTube. So again, future series that I do, I'm not going to be reading this stuff as much, like going through every detail, but I'm assuming that a lot of you watching this have never seen Frostpunk and might need to, have a little bit of context for some of the things that I'm doing. So I'm going to take it nice and slow. So we need to stockpile some coal and start the generator. I've paused the game just so we can zoom in and appreciate how damn pretty this game is. And also just see we have some individual colonists down here. You can select them by name if you would like, or individually rather. You can look at them by name and then see kind of where they live, where they work, who their family is. Even though there's no childbirth mechanics in the game at the moment, you can see kind of where their family is. So down here we have an indicator telling us that there are 80 homeless. This is an area of the interface you're going to be looking at a lot because this is pretty much where the game screams at you that you have problems that need to be addressed immediately, whether it's homeless people, sick people, people that are freezing, anything like that. Well, there's not really an indicator here for freezing. There's an indicator down here for people that are freezing, but when you have eminent health or, societal concerns, the game will let you know with red icons down here. So, as we get started, we have a number of resources around us. First of all, I will point out that every time you start a new home, it's the exact same beginning. However, I can't zoom out yet because I don't have a certain building built yet. But the surrounding world can manifest a little bit differently. You'll get the same location spawns that you have to scout out every time, but they will be in different locations and you might have to explore them in different orders. So that's where the game can vary itself a little bit. And then, of course, the challenges that emerge from each playthrough might be different depending on the little tiny differences that come from how you play and the order in which those things that I just mentioned arrive. So let's start. We have to obviously build homes for 80 people. And it looks like we have 65 of 80. There's 15 children, which is why it says 65 of 80. We have 50 workers and 15 engineers. We'll talk more about the distinction between those in a moment, but let's go ahead and start building some homes for these folks. So we obviously need to start the generator. I know, that's why I've got the game paused, but I want to use what wood I have to go ahead and get this started. Actually, as a matter of fact, even before I build the homes, let me go ahead and start working on something that will make it a little bit easier to get all of this stuff done. We're going to start a road right about here, maybe even here or so, because I want them to be able to get to that wood as well. Anything that I can do to make it a little bit... Oh, wait, you know what? No. Let's not do it that way, because I want to have everything lining up with this building. So let's put 1 tent there. You have to pay close attention when placing buildings and roads in Frostpunk, because, you know, this is how citizens are going to move around your city, and they need to be able to move around quickly and efficiently. And having a path of movement out to resources to where they have, you know, somewhere where they can quickly walk as opposed to trudging through the snow is kind of important. So let's see, it's going to take 10 wood to build a street out that far. That's a lot of my wood, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. We're going to do one more tent on the other side of that street, and we'll do more in just a second. And now we need to assign some workers to these different resource piles. So I'm actually going to go up here first. We're going to assign 15 workers to that coal pile and 15 to that coal pile. But stay tuned. Microing these initial choices in like the first 60 to 120 seconds of gameplay, once you unpause anyway, is a really key part to succeeding in a medium playthrough on Frostpunk, if you're just learning the game for the first time. So if you're looking for tips, definitely watch what I do in the next couple of seconds on this. So I'm also going to put some workers on the wood pile there. And then finally we'll do 5 workers, and then we use 10 of the engineers that I have, which leaves 5 remaining. That's 5 that can help build anything that's left behind. Let's now unpause and let everyone get to work. Once we're really in the thick of things, you're going to see me running the game on speed 3 a lot of the time. In the early episodes, the first few, while I'm still explaining some of the systems and while we're still figuring all this stuff out, the game is telling me I'm out of wood because I just used the last of it to order those construction projects. Notice the way they're trudging through the snow. They literally trudge through the snow to make the road, but also even more literally, you can see them moving through the snow, carving paths through it on the way out to gather resources. There's already, that's somewhat artificial, but there's already some fire barrels out here that are designed to support the people that are gathering resources from these sources. Ideally, we want to have homes built for all these folks before the end of the first day. So notice that even though they haven't arrived at the resources yet, we automatically are generating each of the 3 core resource types. We have coal up here, wood up here, steel up here. This is the work time. This is the temperature. We can hit the O key to pull up the temperature overlay anytime and kind of see how warm things are. So even with the generator off, things are livable here. Let's go ahead and turn the generator on. And now we're consuming coal. A little bit, but not too much. I want to go ahead and get another house built. Now, if you want, when you're building the initial homes, you could just go all the way around with the first tents and make this first ring houses. That way, all of the houses are optimally heated, because as you can tell, this is the range on the generator. So any houses that we build out here are going to be a little bit colder than these, which are currently, because the generator's lit, they're very comfortable. They're the maximum possible temperature. Houses that I build out here will just be livable, like the tents were a moment ago before I turned on the generator. So you have to kind of think about where do you want to, like, what standards of living do you want to give folks as you prepare here. Look at the detail. I just love how much passion and work was put into the paths they walk through the snow. And wait till you see what happens when the day ends and the snow piles up overnight. It looks so amazing. Those of you that have seen Frostpunk on YouTube and have seen it played already, it's been out for a while. I already know what I'm talking about, but this is my first chance to play it on the channel with everything that I've had going on, so I'm very excited to finally be bringing this to the channel. Given that, all the reasons that I mentioned in the intro for why I like it, those of you that have been on the channel for a long time are probably not surprised to see me playing it. Oh, I actually didn't do what I said I was going to do. I distracted myself with commentary. When has that ever happened? So I have just taken my workers off of this pile, and I'm actually going to redirect them for the remainder of the workday to work on this second wood pile. So we gathered a decent amount of coal, and I actually didn't go too far over what I typically do. The game is telling me to get 200 coal stockpiled. It's nice to get a little bit close to that before you pull one pile of workers away from the coal. But for your initial settlement, you don't need that much coal income. If you have 2 entire groups of 15 workers working coal for the entire first day, you're going to have too much coal and not enough of other resources that are kind of important. So that's my thinking. So notice that I am going ahead and I'm building some houses out here in the snow. It's saying that I have 50 homeless still because we have only built 3 tents. And it's once again saying that I'm out of wood. Also, we can go ahead and pass some laws, so let me see. If I go into adaptation, right now we have no options as far as, like I said, we are going to be doing an order playthrough, and you'll see what that means if you're new to the game later on. But for now, we can just make some initial choices. Anytime you see these are literal choices you have to make about a certain dilemma. Or you can just do something that will help with problems in general that doesn't represent a choice between 2 different approaches to the same problem, but just a solution to a problem. So let's go ahead and go for child shelters. Now there's the different choices we face here are either child shelters, children will be safer if they stay in child shelters during the day, and they won't cause any mischief. Or we can say that children can work. We can say that child labor is allowed as long as the jobs are safe. So they are allowed perhaps to gather resources and maybe work in cookhouses and hothouses. I don't know if they're actually allowed to gather resources because that's considered a pretty cold job. But we're going to go with child shelters. We're going to protect the children and keep them safe during the day while their mothers and fathers are at work. So this will give us the child shelter building. Hope will rise. We have to build one, obviously. And this provides a permanent hope bonus. Now, a little bit about this really quickly. I'll keep the game paused. Notice we got a hope bonus right away there. But hope is kind of what you want to remain high if you want people to stay focused on their jobs and not throw you out. If hope drops and discontent rises far enough in each of those dimensions, they will literally kick you out. They will banish you from the city because you did a terrible job as captain, as mayor. They call you captain in the game. And that's obviously something we don't want to happen. So we've just passed the law for child shelters, and we're going to get to that once we've built our initial... We're probably going to have to do that in the next work day. But we're waiting for 10 wood to come in. Alright, so we do have full gathering efficiency on the second pile of wood, even though it hasn't quite... What? No, it's not. There we go. Even though the resource gatherers haven't quite made it over there yet. Let's go up to speed 2. Still keeps things at a reasonable pace. Okay, so there we go. We've just achieved the first objective from the tutorial portion of the game. The generator hums with reassuring warmth, but we shouldn't take it for granted. If the generator goes down, the city dies. Be mindful of coal reserves. Now, food. There'll be no city if we starve to death. Secure a way to provide raw food and build a cookhouse to prepare meals. Now, notice we have 100 raw food. So we started with a bunch of raw food that isn't cooked yet. So we do definitely need a cookhouse, but we're not going to do that until we are done building our shelters. There's not an objective that the game is giving me for this, but it's screaming at me about the homeless. So that's my focus. So we'll do the cookhouse and the hunter's huts next, and then a child shelter after that. Okay, so that's the end of the first workday. So we unfortunately are not going to have... Oh, yes, we will. Yes, we will. We are in good shape. That's what you want to happen, ideally, is that you have just enough for everyone's homes at the end of the first day. Notice that because everyone stopped working, everyone came in as opposed to just the 5 engineers to help finish building the houses. So out here, conditions are livable. There's a very low risk of getting ill, whereas when you're comfortable, you literally cannot get ill. So there's a slight chance that people out in these homes will get ill overnight. And we're going to have to take care of them if that happens. I'm kind of hoping it doesn't happen. I would love a playthrough where nobody died, but that's on medium difficulty and higher. That's hard. That's really, really hard. So I'm going to do what I can to make that happen, but I'm not optimistic. Let's put it that way. All right, so we are just past midnight. Generator's humming nicely. Notice we are not consuming a lot of coal. We're just not. It's 1 a.m. That's why I pulled them off of that coal pile. After a point, there's no reason to keep that much coal production coming in on your very first day. As far as how many resources are left in each pile, these wood piles are both already almost gone. This steel pile is almost gone as well, so they'll both be gone within the next day. There are additional piles over here. There's 2 wood piles and a steel pile, very similar. There's a coal pile there, 2 coal piles there. as well as an additional steel wreckage pile right there. Okay, now at 5 a.m. every morning, the game will automatically bring my game speed back down to normal, which annoyed the living crap out of me. Oh, wait a minute, do I not have all my homes built? Oh, I'm an idiot. I don't normally stay this zoomed in, so we didn't actually build a road out to these homes. Therefore, these folks are still homeless. I knew that. I've been zoomed in a little bit too closely to see those indicators, just because I wanted to show you. I typically play out here, so those prompts weren't very apparent to me. That's a shame. That means we do have one sick person now. They're not gravely sick, but... Okay, so that is one way to learn. To learn something that I've already learned, painfully. Yes, I know we're out of wood. Right, let's go ahead and go to speed 2. And fairly soon, people are going to start getting up and going back to work, so we're going to see our resources start to pour in again. And we can finally set up a road to those houses. So that's actually, we fell a little bit short of what you want on the first day. Yeah, let's go ahead and bring the road all the way around there. I didn't have to do that, but... So now everyone's going to have a home, and we definitely need to have a medical post for that sick person. I don't want that person to stay sick. We can introduce a new law. Let's go ahead and go into adaptation. As far as sick people are concerned, we have the choice between radical treatment, so we can force people to basically have their limbs amputated if they have frostbite. And the gravely ill will be treated in medical posts. Or we can sustain life by keeping them alive in medical posts or in care houses, which is the next option down. It's not actually an option at all. It's just the next law that you can unlock in this chain. Again, there are some that are actually giving you options for certain problems, and some that are simply solutions that you have to work your way toward. So we're going to say sustain life. Again, we're going for the great order this time. So we're going to go with choices that are not as controversial, that are more humane in nature. And this is the choice to, we say we can't cure the gravely ill, but we can at least keep them alive. We won't risk dangerous amputations with radical treatment. We won't force people to lose limbs that they don't want to lose. So, let's say that. Now, the very next thing I need to do, let's go ahead and get a cookhouse going. Where would be the best place to build it? I guess we can put it right there. That's not a problem. Every building has a base heating level, and there are some buildings which you can afford to put a little bit farther out into the snow because they're just a little bit warmer by default. All the buildings I've built so far have a base heating level of 1, and the stockpiles don't have anyone working them, so no worries there. Okay, so the cookhouse is ready to go, or will be ready to go fairly soon. We have enough to build a child shelter. The child shelter is one of those buildings, by the way. Base heating level 2. So I'm not going to actually put the child shelter out here. That would be bad form, frankly. So what I'm going to do instead... Let's see, why don't we... Where do I want to put this thing, though? Let's start a road like... Maybe I want to have it... Hang on. I would like it to be heated eventually. You know what? Yeah, that's what I'll do. I'm going to put the child shelter here. That's even a little bit farther out than I typically put the child shelter. But we're going to have some heat in this area soon to where those kids are going to be okay. And those homes will be... they won't have any snow on the top either. All right, next order of business, we need to get a medical hut built. We also need to get the hunter's hut built for the raw food supply. Again, we have some raw food that we brought in. Okay, steel wreckage has been depleted. Let's stay on top of this. I don't need more steel at the moment. Not right now. I'm going to need more very soon, but I don't need more at the moment. So I think what I'd rather do is go ahead and tell these guys to focus on collecting additional wood. So let's have the same workers, 5 workers and 10 engineers, come out here. And I want to take this road and extend it out about that, let's say, yeah, 13. Now I can also establish gathering posts, which make these jobs a little bit easier, which I will do as soon as possible. But right now, that's not what I need to do. What I need to do, let's see. Yeah, we need to get workhouses built, or workshops built as well. But let's get a medical post built. And right here is where we're going to put it. This is for our 1 sick person. And the 5 engineers we've had kind of hanging out, helping build, are going to actually have a job in this medical post right away. And the medical post will work even when the workers themselves have stopped working. But we're about 26 minutes into this first episode or so, about 27 minutes, in fact, in a little bit. So I will stop this first episode here. In the next one, we are going to continue building up these initial buildings, addressing these initial quests, and I might also look a little bit through the concepts that have been introduced in the tutorial so far so that everything is clear for you guys. But I want to read comments on episode 1 and kind of get a sense for what people want to see too. So I will take a look at that before I record episode 2 and then jump in from there. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this one, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to follow along. New episodes are going to be coming out in the 4 p.m. slot, which is generally for science fiction survival type games and simulation games as well. And if you're watching Stellaris content in that slot right now, because that's been a Stellaris slot for a while, you're going to see some other content a little bit later on in the day that I think you will be interested in. Maybe not the day this video goes live, but in the coming days, we're going to have some simultaneous content while our main Stellaris series is taking a break at the moment. So just be aware of that. For those of you that are watching this series in the live crowd and are watching these videos as they go up on YouTube, you might be curious about that. Again, thanks for watching. Comments are always welcome. Let me know what you think, and I will see you next time.